Today we're going to be working on adjustment layers and creating masks. The files that we're going to be using are clouds.jpg and image3446.jpg. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this into Photoshop. And here is our file. So we have our little puppet guy. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a cloud a cloud background behind him. And let's go ahead. Well, first we'll delete the blue background. And then we'll add the cloud background. So I'm going to go ahead and create a mask. So down at the bottom of our layers window is a mask button. And when we make a mask, the important thing is that we understand the concept of the black conceals, actually white reveals and black conceals. So one conceals and one reveals. I always get them mixed up because I don't know why, I just do. But anyways, let's go ahead and select the mask. And there's a couple of things I could do. I can use the brush, and we have it on black and white. And if I select here, I'm painting with white and nothing's happening. So let's go ahead and conceal with the black. And you can see that as I'm brushing, we can actually see the background disappearing. But this is going to take a really long time. And I don't want to do it because, you know, I can do something a little bit faster. So we're going to go ahead and get that black area that was revealing the white area, because we want to get rid of all the blue, and I'm going to throw that into the trash. And whoa, problem. When I was doing that, I wasn't selecting the layer, the mask layer. So I actually ended up destroying our image, but not a problem because I haven't done very much. Let's go back to the history. Oops, I just closed it. So the history button right here, the history palette, and all I have to do is just go back to open, and then there they are. Now, I always like to make a copy of my window or image that I'm working in, just in case that happens, and if I can't go back to the history. So here I am, just going to make a copy of that background layer, and it's locked. We can't do anything to it anymore. Create a mask. And this time I'm going to use the magic wand tool. And the magic wand is going to select all the areas that I want to reveal. Okay? And I'm going to be really careful on my selection. Now, I have it set for a tolerance of 64, continuous, anti-alias. And I have it on sample point. And if I hold down the Option key, I should be able to grow my selection. Which, is it the Control key? Shift key? You know, all the versions of Photoshop, they change all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one area. And I'm going to be getting rid of everything that's blue, including on the top, if you notice, those rocks. So I'm going to go ahead and select it. Make sure I have the mask tool on, and then do Command I to invert. And we're going to do all of this all the way around until we get rid of all of the blue. So here I go, and then Command I to invert. Select the blue again, and this This one is like really touchy. I have no idea why it's so difficult. I like to do a couple of different, I'll show you a couple of different ways that we can do this. So hold on to that thought right now. I'm going to get rid of that. We'll go back to it. Don't worry. I'm going to make another copy. I'm going to select, we're going to make this other copy down at the bottom. And I'm just going to use my magic wand. And you can see when I select it, and if I, this case, I push delete, 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 all these areas that I'm deleting, I can do a pretty good selection. But the problem is that by doing this, I'm doing a destructive edit. Command D to deselect. And then I could go in and I could use the magic lasso to get rid of this top brick area. Delete, delete. Now, if you wanted to keep things non-destructive, we would make a mask. So you can see right here, I've done pretty good job in getting rid of all of that blue area. I'm going to zoom in and get rid of that area between the ribs. And I'm still using a magic wand. Delete. Now you have to be careful. I'd have to Command Z. Because if you have too many areas selected, like right here, because our tolerance is too high, let's go ahead and bring our tolerance down to like say half of that, 35. Let's try it again. Delete, 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 delete. And you have to systematically go around and delete everything. But this is a destructive edit. This is destructive. Now you can see right here, it's selecting too much. And I only want this other interior side. So once again, I'm going to bring my tolerance down. Maybe let's try 25 this time. Oops, not 250, but 20. How about 20? Okay. And let's try to get that other area. And here, so you have to go really slow and you have to be really careful. Now that's one way to get rid of all that blue area. I select it and I delete it. That's one way. I'm going to go ahead and name this. I'm going to call it delete layer. Now I'm going to turn that off and let's go back to our mask. Let's zoom out so we can see everything. Now, what we're doing is we're creating a mask over our image that we can go back to. I'm going to go to the brush tool and make sure that my mask is selected. Choose a large brush. I can choose the brush down here up on the top, or I can go to Window, Brushes, and make my adjustment right there. I'm just going to use my bracket keys and just brush away and get rid of all this information. It's gone. And I could use my brush tool to get rid of this haze over here. But you can see that I have to be really careful. So I'd have to enlarge, Command plus, zoom in, decrease the size of my brush, and then brush away all of that area to reveal what is underneath. And it takes some time, but there's, as I've mentioned many times, there are many ways to do the same exact thing in Photoshop. So this is just one of many ways. Let me zoom out. And it just takes time, There's no way around it. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to use going back to the magic wand. And remember, I've changed my tolerance. I'm going to change it back to 65. And then when we select it, we need to do Command I to inverse. Command I to inverse. Command I to inverse. Inverse. Let's see if I can get rid of this. Now, I did a double inverse. Command Z. I don't want to do that. So you have to decide on what route you're going to be taking. Command I. And I. You have to do slowly. Now, this one selected way too many things. I have to decrease the tolerance on my magic wand for that area. And, you know, this figure has a lot of things going on. So you have to go really slow. A combination of maybe the magic wand tool and the brush. So here I go back with the brush, going back and forth. Sometimes I might want a bigger brush so I don't have to spend so much time. I'm doing large areas to get rid of the blue. Now, you have to be super careful because you can see right there, I cut off, I deleted part of his leg, so Command Z. You know, and it just takes a while. It takes patience. In building, like if I just... So I selected the mask, and you can see the areas that are already masked. I'm going to go, okay. Now, we don't have to mask all this together, but let's go ahead and bring in our background. And I'm just going to just drag it in, which is... Well, I can do a couple of different ways. Like always, I can just drag it from my desktop and push it in there. And then I have to adjust it. That's one way. Or I can go to File, Place Embedded. And then I can find it that way as well. So let me go here to cancel and get rid of the clouds. Just throw that in the trash. So once again, I go to File, Place Embedded, Clouds, Place. And there's a little tiny cloud window coming up. I have to adjust it for my canvas. Once I'm happy with that, I press OK. Now, I'm going to bring the clouds to the bottom. And here's our image of our little dude that we did a magic wand and delete. Here's our little guy where we did a mask. Now what I'm going to go do is make an adjustment, and we're going to use this guy on the top. And this time I want to change the color of his head. So I want to change the color of his head. So let's go to Command plus to zoom in. And I'm going to make another mask. But this time I'm going to make an adjustment layer and then make it a mask inside that layer. So I can get it from here and go to Hue and Saturation, or I can go up here from the top. Let's just try it from the bottom this time. So Hue and Saturation. And here are all the hues and saturation colors that I can change. I'm going to turn off the clouds so that we can focus on the color. Make sure it's selected and go back to Hue and Saturation. Now I could change it to any color that I want. He can be yellow or, you know, more cyan. I can choose the colors down at the bottom that I want to adjust. I can make him pink. But the problem that we have here is that it's turning everything pink. I only wanted to do the head, not the entire body. So I have to make a mask in order for that to work. So what I have to do is select the mask and then use my brush tool. And before I do anything, I have to inverse so it'll affect my little dude. So Command I to inverse. And I want to reveal his head because I want me to change the color, right? So as I go over here, but I have black on black and that's not going to work. So Command X to change my palette from black to white. You can go back and forth. And here I go. And let me zoom in for you. And you want to be really careful because the problem, why do you have to be careful? Because look right here, the clouds. Now the clouds, they're having a heyday. Don't worry, we're going to fix this in a minute. Now you can see where I went over the edge where it turned yellow. That's a problem. So that means I have to go X to change that brush to black, decrease the size of my brush, and now you can see it. I got rid of that yellow color. Let's do that and go back again. But then I started, his face is kind of red. But let's go back and take care of this issue. Now, the problem is that I'm affecting the clouds at the bottom, right? Because we know our clouds are blue. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Turn on our little dude. And I accidentally turned on a hue and saturation in the cloud layer. Now let me go ahead and fix this area here. And we have black. And as I paint the black over the mask, it's starting to reveal the red. But remember, we wanted him to be pink. Command X to go back to white. Command Z. You really want to zoom in. Command plus. And just go in, probably with a smaller brush. And just have his head pink. So it takes some fine tuning and playing with the brush to make those adjustments. and use a smaller brush to get these fine lines. So here they are. We can see the sky coming back in. All right, to recap, we went over making a mask for a selection, getting rid of the background, also editing the background, getting rid of it that way using the magic wand, and also making an adjustment layer and a mask inside that adjustment layer.